Today we are working Psalm number 21. Magical uses of Psalm 21 are various, but the big ones, the main ones, tend to be for blessings of bounty, for calming storms, for help and protection while at sea, and also for anybody that's involved in positions of power. This is a wonderful psalm for you to have protection and blessings in your position. Today we are going to be using Psalm 21 for massive financial prosperity. So massive financial prosperity is very relative. It is to break through to a new level of financial prosperity, and understanding that it's the Creator's good pleasure to make sure that you have all of that massive financial prosperity in order for you to be happy and do your work here. To work Psalm Magic is a very simple process, but very powerful. We take the psalm in question and we speak it out loud all the way through once without stopping. This is commonly called an incantation. Then after that incantation, we go back through that same psalm and we consider each verse in turn, one by one. And as we consider each verse, what we're doing is searching for hidden, occult meanings behind the words in each verse. And we look at those hidden, occult meanings as being seeds of magic. And through the process of searching, digging, finding, contemplating, and applying what we find in each of these verses to the situation at hand, we are in a very real way taking those seeds of magic and planting them deeply in the fertile grounds of our mind, where they take root, they grow, they blossom forth, and then they bear real fruit after their kind. And that's what we're going to do together, you and I, right now with Psalm number 21. The king shall joy in thy strength, O Lord, and in thy salvation how greatly shall he rejoice. Thou hast given him his heart's desire, and hast not withholden the request of his lips, Selah. For thou preventest him with the blessings of goodness. Thou settest a crown of pure gold on his head. He asked life of thee, and thou gavest it him, even length of days forever and ever. His glory is great in thy salvation. Honor and majesty hast thou laid upon him, for thou hast made him most blessed forever. Thou hast made him exceeding glad with thy countenance. For the king trusteth in the Lord, and through the mercy of the Most High he shall not be moved. Thine hand shall find out all thine enemies, thy right hand shall find out those that hate thee. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. The Lord shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. Their fruit shall thou destroy from the earth, and their seed from among the children of men. For they intended evil against thee. They imagined a mischievous device, which they are not able to perform. Therefore shalt thou make them turn their back, when thou shalt make ready thine arrows upon thy strings against the face of them. Be thou exalted, Lord, in thine own strength. So we will sing and praise thy power. It starts out addressing the Lord, and we have to remind ourselves who the Lord is in these Psalms. Somebody actually commented or texted me and said, when it says the Lord in the King James Bible, that means the Tetragrammaton. Did you know that? And the Tetragrammaton isn't actually a depiction of the universal power. It's an actual deity from ancient Hebrew times. And I appreciate you schooling me in that. I really do. I appreciate that. And yes, I do know that whenever, and it's good for all of us to remember that whenever it says the Lord in the King James Version, it's talking about the Tetragrammaton. But the Tetragrammaton for magicians is a symbol. Just like Elohim is a symbol. We are not resurrecting an ancient Hebrew religion here. Psalm magic is symbolic for us, and the symbol of the Tetragrammaton for us is the symbol of the one power, the one source, the one force, the one substance in all the universe. There is only one, and there's nothing that can oppose it. So When we are looking at the Lord in the Psalms, we recognize that what that represents to us is a very magical experience. It is the force of all nature, and there's only one. And since there's only one, there's nothing that can go up against it. And that's why psalm magic is so powerful, because we are orienting ourselves to that power, which is called the Lord in the Psalms, which is symbolic to us of that power. So it says, the king shall joy in thy strength, O Lord. Now, the king in this psalm is the recipient of all of these blessings, and for us, all of these financial blessings. So we are objectifying our own self, our own earthly self that is in need of blessing as the king in this particular psalm. So the king, regardless of your physical gender, is you. So even though we are speaking of the king sometimes in the second person and sometimes in the third person in the psalm, we are speaking to ourselves as recipients of bounty. The king shall joy in thy strength, O Lord, and in thy salvation, how greatly shall he rejoice. It's a very clear shortcut to this bounty, to this prosperity, is to have joy in the Lord and to rejoice in the Lord's salvation. The salvation in psalm magic means the solving of the problem or the manifestation of the spell. The strength in the psalms means protection, means defense. That means that you don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to protect yourself. You don't have to go out and get prosperity. You don't have to do anything except for rejoice in the power that is bringing it to you right now. It's through your rejoicing that you make it real, that you make it happen. That's your job, is to rejoice. Thou hast given him his heart's desire and hast not withholden the request of his lips. So it's up to you to decide, what is my heart's desire? You have to investigate these things. What do I want? Why do I want them? And now, what does that mean I'm asking for? And it says with your lips, so do it out loud. Do it out loud. What do you need? What do you want? What is your heart's desire? Ask for it, because it's not going to be withheld from you. And then it says Selah. It means think about that, about the truth of that. It's up to you to decide. It's up to you to discover, to investigate. What do you want? Not what do you think you want, not what do you think you need, but what is your heart yearning for? Those are the righteous desires of your heart that are always available to be fulfilled, but it's up to you to ask for them. You must make the first step. You can't just say, why isn't it already given to me? I don't understand. Why doesn't everything just work out the way I want it? Because you have to make the first step. You have to ask for it with your lips. So do it out loud. Actually take it literally this time. You do a spoken incantation. This is what I want. This is what I need. These are my needs. These are my desires. And I realize, this is you speaking, I realize that in speaking these things, my next step is that I need to rejoice in the answering of this, in the manifestation of this, even before I see it with my eyes, feel it with my hands, hear it with my ears. I rejoice in it, just like it said in that first verse. For thou preventest him with the blessings of goodness. Thou settest a crown of pure gold on his head. You then need to what? Receive it. Once you ask for it, you must receive it. It's a two-step process. And this is where people get really messed up. They say, nothing ever works for me, because they never shut up once they ask for it. They never receive it. They never shut up. They just keep blathering on and on. You don't understand, you don't understand, you don't understand, talking to infinite intelligence, telling it what it needs to do. Once you've asked for it, your job is to receive it. You will be given instruction, you will be given guidance, and you will be blessed, because it is the way the universe works. Ask, and it will be given. That's how it works. But we don't do that. We scream and yell at infinite intelligence of what we want, and then we keep screaming and yelling at infinite intelligence about what we want, but we never receive it. We never let that crown be placed upon our head. We never allow the receiving of those blessings of goodness. He asked life of thee, and thou gavest it him, even length of days forever and ever. A lot of times people say, I didn't ask to be born. That's not true. You did. You asked for life, and it was given you. You're here because you asked for it. You're breathing because you asked for life. Even length of days forever and ever. Length of days forever and ever means that your soul can't die. So yeah, you wanted life, and you get what you want. You receive what you ask for. So instead of asking and then asking some more and then asking some more, what we're being shown in this psalm is, yes, you ask, but then you must receive. Then you must receive it. His glory is great in thy salvation. Honor and majesty hast thou laid upon him. The glory of the king in this sense is great, and your glory is great. Your glory is your life force. It's your aura. When you receive the gifts that you ask for, then you glow. The salvation of the Lord is the solving of this problem, the granting of this spell, whatever it is that you're working on. Infinite intelligence wants you to have it. And honor and majesty hast thou laid upon him. You're royal. You have been endowed with honor and majesty. But until you receive that, until you recognize it, until you allow yourself to really be at one with the honor and majesty that is your birthright, it's as if it's not there, because you get preoccupied with complaining. It's not that there's not a time to complain. Yes, there is. There's tons of psalms that let you complain. But in this particular one, where you're saying, I want massive prosperity, it's time to stop complaining. It's time to start receiving and allowing it to be realized in you. For thou hast made him most blessed forever. Thou hast made him exceeding glad with thy countenance. That's you. Now we're putting this in the past tense. What does your life look like once you received this blessing? What does it look like? It says that it's exceeding glad, most blessed forever. Forever is the present moment. So that's happening right now. And it's up to you to receive that. And to be exceeding glad with thy countenance, that means that infinite intelligence is looking upon you. So the presence of infinite intelligence looking upon you is immense. It's an intense experience that you can't have if you're not willing to receive. If you're not willing to be quiet and receptive to the gifts that are being given you. For the king trusteth in the Lord, and through the mercy of the Most High he shall not be moved. So this is telling you how you can receive and how you can make those blessings permanent. It's by trusting in this power of infinite intelligence. Why not? Since there's only one, and since there is no other power. If you believe in another power, you're believing in something that's not real. And if you're believing in something that's not real, then you can't expect any results. But if you are trusting in the one true power, the only power that exists, then through the mercy of that, you won't be moved. You won't ever have it leave you. You never have to worry. It's always going to be thus. Your prosperity is permanent. It's assured. And it's infinite intelligence, very good pleasure for you to have it. You're not asking for something extravagant. You're asking for your birthright. And infinite intelligence really wants you to have it. But infinite intelligence can't force feed it to you. You have to receive it. Thine hand shall find out all thine enemies. Thy right hand shall find out those that hate thee. We're speaking to the king, so we're speaking to ourselves here. So your hand is going to find all of your enemies. Your right hand will find all of those that hate you. Why? Because infinite intelligence wills it to be thus. And all of those things that you're going to find out that hate you, that means you're going to take responsibility for your own thinking, for your own mind. And you're going to stop allowing yourself to be victimized by your own ego mind. And you're going to stop gaslighting yourself into saying, oh no, I receive, when you don't. You're going to not do that to yourself. You're going to be honest with yourself. And you're not going to put up with that stuff from yourself anymore. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. The Lord shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. That's what's going to happen to all of those poverty thoughts. That's what's going to happen to all of those ways that you gaslight yourself, all of those ways that you constantly promote poverty in your life and then say, what's wrong? How come nothing ever works for me? None of that anymore. All of that's going to get swallowed up. Why? Because prosperity is your birthright. And to get that prosperity, your mind must be right with it. It must receive it. So everything in your mind that's standing in the way of that prosperity, we're going to allow to be burned up like in a fiery oven. Their fruit shalt thou destroy from the earth, and their seed from among the children of men. Now, this is very important because the fruit of those thoughts of poverty, it's not just the thoughts, it's the results of those thoughts. It's the consequences of those that must be destroyed. And when it's destroyed from the earth, that means that the physical consequences of your wrong thinking are now being burned up. And their seed from among the children of men. That means that any of those thoughts that gave birth to other thoughts and other thoughts, any of that autopilot thinking that we're doing that's creating negative results over and over again, all of that burned up, destroyed forever, can't bother you again. And you're going to be vigilant about that. For they intended evil against thee. They imagined a mischievous device, which they are not able to perform. So all of those ego thoughts that are programmed to self-destruct that you've been indulging in all this time, which are responsible for the poverty experiences that you may be having. And again, we're not saying you should blame yourself or any of that. Some of them are generational. Some of them go back generation after generation. Maybe your family's always been broke. Maybe this is something that's always been happening in your particular family or culture, but no longer because infinite intelligence has no bounds. There's nothing that it can't heal. And now you're willing for all of those thought forms to be destroyed. The ones that intend evil against you, that imagine you as being anything other than perfectly prosperous and happy, those thought forms are impotent. They have absolutely no power anymore. Why? Because we said so. Because we said so. Because we called upon the power of infinite intelligence to make it be thus, and we are giving it permission. We are making the first move. And that first move is always important, but then we do what? We receive it. We receive it. And that's what we're doing here. We're doing that twofold step. We are making the first move and asking for what we want, and then we are receiving it and being silent and allowing it to come to us. Therefore shalt thou make them turn their back, when thou shalt make ready thine arrows upon thy strings against the face of them. So those thought forms are going to try to retreat and maybe come back some other day, but as they leave, they are destroyed. They are destroyed. There's no hope for those thought forms of poverty because we are treating them with the will of infinite intelligence, and we are co-creating with infinite intelligence. Infinite intelligence and you are coming to an agreement that no longer are you going to have poverty thoughts or thought forms that create results in your life, and those things are dead forever, and you're going to do your part, and infinite intelligence never fails to do its part. Be thou exalted, Lord, in thine own strength, so will we sing and praise thy power. That's our job. Once we've gone through this, letting go of all of those negative thoughts, receiving our bounty, receiving our prosperity, our job to keep these things permanent is to exalt the infinite intelligence that is within us and that we are a part of as the one and only power, that there's no other power, to be our strength, meaning it can defend us from these thought forms and from the consequences of these thought forms. We don't have to do it ourselves. And then all we have left to do is sing and praise thy power. There's one power. It's the one force. It's amazing. And when we praise it, we acknowledge it enthusiastically about how amazing it is. We sing about it, meaning that we don't just use our voices gently. We use both our inner and outer voices forcefully and loudly sometimes to talk about how good everything is in our lives. And when we do that, what we're doing is we are placing ourselves on that beam of prosperity that, as we have stated, is infinite intelligence's will for us. We're not asking for something special. We're asking for our own. And our own prosperity is limitless, because that's the way infinite intelligence wills it to be. So you just keep coming back to this psalm again and again until you get a sense of peace and certainty about your situation. And once you get that sense of peace and certainty about the situation, you know that the spell has taken and you don't have to work on it anymore. You can move on and do something else. Thank you so much for joining me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.